another episode of the Pin High Podcast presented by Golficity. So this week we're going to be talking about Abraham Ancer's win at the WGC Fed-Ex St. Jude. We're going to also talk about some golfers being put in the clock last week, and we're going to preview the Wyndham Championship with some picks. So let's get into it. Episode 93, let's get inside the ropes. So Pat's not here this week, but last week, Abraham Ancer getting a win. Trev, that's your guy.
My boy, it's second time in 3 weeks that one of my guys has gotten a win. Joaquin Niemann's due next. Just saying. So if he's playing this week, I don't think he's playing this week. If he's playing soon, he's due for a win. Maybe it's every other week they'll get a win, but Ancer finally got done. Love that for him. Didn't pick him again, but
I'm
happy for him. I'm happy for him.
Now, how he got the win was a little bit interesting. Now, I mean, as we all know, Bryson and Harris English were in the lead. They faltered a little bit. We'll get a little bit into that later, but Abraham Ancer ended up getting into a playoff with I'm blanking out right now, even though I watched the whole thing. Hideki Matsuyama and Sam Burns. Yeah, so Burns and Matsuyama were in a playoff with him. They all tied the first hole. And then the second hole, Abraham Ancer makes his putt from about 6 feet, and Sam Burns misses his just inside of Abraham Ancer at like 5 feet 7 inches.
Talk about a power lip too, man.
Yeah, but so Abraham Ancer, that's his first win on the PGA Tour, made him win. I mean, it's a long time coming, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like he played great at it was Hilton Head right last year, right? I picked him there. And I know he played great. It felt like it feels like he even won that tournament sometimes. Because Webb kind of you forget that Webb won that. He's played. President's Cup was kind of his coming out party, and he's kind of lingering around a bunch of tournaments since then, and got done. Talk about getting done in a WG field. A lot of money on the line. That was, a playoff. Obviously, you got little. We'll go into the Bryson, Harris English, all that stuff later, but you got a little lucky he was in the playoff, first of all. But
yeah, I will say he did get
it worked. It worked out, and he won. He made the birdie. He made a great shot. That shot from the fairway on the second playoff hole was unbelievable.
Both of them, him and Burns, both. Yeah. Abraham Ancer hits his. I'm like, oh, no one's gonna get inside of that, and all of a sudden Burns hits his, and he's less than a foot inside of him. So,
and credit to Ancer for making that putt. Also, Hideki hit 2 awesome putts in the playoff.
He did
and missed them both. Just barely missed them both.
I would have thought going into the playoff, Hideki was my favorite. Going into the playoff, just thinking, watching him. Obviously he finished a lot earlier. He shot a pretty good score on Sunday. He was in the playoff last week for the bronze medal. I guess 2 weeks ago. So
that's a crazy week.
Yeah,
that's a crazy couple of weeks going from Japan to you would have thought, you could have assumed that Xander's won the gold medal. Maybe he's gonna
take the week off. Do his
right? I don't think anyone was surprised that he didn't play amazing or didn't play that great, but I guess no one really thought about Hideki and how he was going to come off that. And he seems like he's playing the best golf of his career after winning the Masters, and then playoff in the bronze medal, and playoff for the WGC. I'm blanking for some reason, but WGC this week, this past week, yesterday. But yeah, he's playing some awesome golf. So that'd be
and then back to Abraham Ancer for a second. Just looking at the stats this year, he's 23rd off the tee, 27th approach. He's 35th in putting. That's ends up being 27th to the green, 16th strokes gained total. Super accurate, 7th off the tee. He just has a lot of really good stats, and he's up there at the top
What's
players.
His driving distance? He doesn't hit the ball that far.
156. He
doesn't hit the ball far. He just hits the ball straight.
290.1 yards. But he's so good with his approach game that it makes up for that. So there's a lot of different types of guys who could win on tour.
Yeah, especially because Ancer, you said, he's what, 20th around 20 and starts getting off the tee and hits it 290 yards.
23rd.
That's it. Showed, I think, what was it? It was Hilton Head, right, where he hit like basically just every fairway, every green, and just his putting's good. Like if you can do that, I think any one of us would take hitting every single fairway and every single green and being a great putter too. Like that'd be awesome. That'd be so much fun to play golf that way.
I mean, the guy's missed 3 cuts all year. That's it. I mean, he missed the cut at the US Open, which sucks, but missed the cut at the US Open because he shot 77 on the second day. He missed the cut at the Genesis, 71, 73. It's not that bad. And he missed the cut at the Sony Open, 69, 68. And that's also not that bad. So like, I mean,
200 par rounds.
Yeah, and he's has what 7 top 10, 16 top 25 at first place, second place. I mean,
yeah, that's. I mean, he's and nobody really knows about him. Like he's so under the radar, and he's just in this. I guess this is his second year since basically the President's Cup. Yeah, second full year against the President's Cup. That 1 year we won Tiger and everything like that. But he's quietly one of the best and most consistent players on tour, and nobody talks about him.
Absolutely. And then the one thing I didn't realize about him, which is just because I'm looking at his profile right now, I didn't know he was born in Texas. And also when he was doing like his post round interview, he speaks like perfect English, like no accent. And I was like, oh yeah, I was surprised about that.
I think I did, for some reason I did know that. I think he went to, where did he go to school? He went to Oklahoma, I think, right?
Oh yes, he did. He went to Oklahoma.
Yeah. Like I think he's almost like, maybe he's like lived in the US his whole life or something. Like something. He's basically he's very Americanized, right, as for what I can say.
Yeah, but he was actually raised in Mexico, but he played college golf at Oklahoma.
Yeah, college golf, and obviously got back at the tour.
Dual citizen. He has dual citizenship. So
yeah,
that's just something I didn't know. I didn't realize that. So I thought that was interesting. So let's get into the banner story of the week. Obviously, we had Harris English, Bryson DeChambeau. They were in the final group, and it came apparent that they got put on the clock for pretty much their final 9 holes. So the second 9. And you know, there's a lot of different takes you could say about this, but yeah, I mean, Bryson had a ruling on the 6th hole, and that kind of just put them behind, and it was tough for them to get back on the clock. And Bryson's a slow player in general, but Harris English didn't blame Bryson. He just kind of blamed the PGA Tour putting the final group on the clock. I mean, Harris English ended up shooting a 9 or a 40 on the back. Bryson DeChambeau shot at 41 on the back, so kind of ran their day.
Was like, I didn't watch a ton of it, and I saw some highlights. Like, in Brandel Chambly on Golf Channel described it perfectly. It was like, he said it, and I immediately knew he was talking about it. It was like that. Remember that one Monday Night Football game? It was Steelers versus Dolphins, and it was just pouring down rain. And I think the Steelers won that game 3-0.
Yeah.
And the ball stuck in the ground. Like, he said, it was basically just like watching that. Although nobody won, because it was such horrible golf from both of them. Like they were just, Bryson was hitting it into the water short, then hitting it long on his drop shot. English they're both picking wrong clubs. English is making stupid mistakes, silly mistakes.
Going right, left, all over.
Yeah, like he bogeyed the easiest hole on the course. I think it was 16 maybe. But they were, and Harris English talked about it, how like a hot mic picked up like how he doesn't like to be rushed. He could and who knows if that was directed at Bryce or not. And like, I don't know if the Bryson's the blame for this, because of how bad they're playing and how Bryson's ruling doesn't help anything, obviously. But that's not really their, like, that's not him playing slow necessarily. It's like, that's a very complicated ruling with this ball, however far in bounds it was, like quarter of a ball in bounds, maybe. I don't even know. But the whole thing, I don't love Bryson, but I don't really like necessarily blame him for the slow play. And I don't think Harris English does either. I just think it just turned into a really much worse situation based off of how they played and how they reacted to it, I guess.
Right. Now, I mean, the only thing I'll say, I mean, obviously, an amateur golfer, I feel it when I'm like being rushed. If like somebody's like waving you
Oh
through, you're
yeah,
playing through, or if like there's a ball in another fairway or like in your line and like you're rushing, I feel like I never hit a good shot. So, do you
yeah.
think that was just an excuse for Harris English, or do you think actually that made him play as bad as he played? Because he was one putt away from being in that playoff.
Oh, he was, but also he was 20 in par at one point, and you thought you're like just like if you have told me when Harry, I don't know what whole Harris English was 20 under par, but I know he was 20 under par. Like it was probably on front nine or maybe early, probably front nine, like late front nine, and he's 20 under par. And if you told me, I would not have believed you if you told me there would be a three playoff at 1600 under par. I wouldn't even believed you even more if you told me Harris English or Bryson would not be in the playoff, especially Harris English. Like he's kind of like you from what we've seen this year. He's won twice this year. He's a rock steady guy. Like he's played that whole playoff, that whole 8-hole playoff with the Travelers. Like I don't think he was necessarily making an excuse for playing bad. I just think he didn't. Me, there was one thing I saw. I think laying up. He took 20 seconds to hit a shot, which you have like 40 seconds to hit a shot, even if you're on the clock. And like 20 seconds is like it seems like he just walked up to
Yeah,
the
you pick a
ball,
spot,
got
you go up to the
dressed,
ball and hit. Yeah.
and hit it. Yeah, like that seems rushed, and that seems like it wasn't him making excuses. It seems like he was genuinely frustrated and rushed and just all around bad situation. Which again, PGA Tour playing the final group on the clock because of a ruling taking too long, maybe the right thing, but what the policy with that is, and it's all complicated with that. But
I mean, yeah,
it
so
is
he
what it
said
is,
they were put
unfortunately.
on the clock for the back nine, pretty much, which checks out. I mean, he was two under,
Yeah,
33 on the front, back nine. I mean, he parred the 10th, but then the 11th it all kind of gone downhill. He double bogeyed 11, par, double bogeyed 14, par, bogeyed 16, and then par through. And he needed to shoot a 39 on the back to make it into that playoff, 38 to win. So I mean,
39. All you need to do is break 40 on
yeah,
the
all we
back to
need to do is
win
break
or
40
to
on the
get in
back
the
to
playoff
play in the playoff.
and shoot
But
40.
I mean, a couple bad holes rushing. I mean, I could totally understand that. And I
Oh
mean,
yeah, yeah.
if you're the PGA
Rushing I think is the
Tour,
biggest part.
if you're the PGA Tour, don't you think you should be a little more lenient with the final group coming in on Sunday? I mean, think about the
Yeah,
Open that
especially
Jordan Spieth won, where he had to get a ruling
yeah.
over on the right side. Imagine if he got put on the clock in the Open, like for that.
Exactly. Yeah, that would have never have happened. And they were like a hole behind too
Yeah,
when they got put
exactly.
on the clock at the Open, at least a hole behind with that whole thing. That would if that would never have happened in a major, and I don't think it should ever. I mean, they are the final group, and like yeah, to a certain extent, you have to keep the group in front, but it's really like you're gonna like it's not like they're playing. It's not like they're. It wasn't like they were playing slow. It wasn't like they were taking a obscene amount of time. It was because mostly, from what I've seen and from what I've heard, it's because of mostly that ruling and just some bad golf shots. Like that's not like yeah, it's their fault for hitting bad golf shots, but that's also a byproduct of that playing the clock. I don't know. I think it's hard to put for WGC, any PGA Tour event. It's hard to put when guys are at risk of making like losing millions of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars. I think it's a little bit ridiculous to
Yeah,
me.
I do too. I don't think you should be putting the final group on the clock, especially like it's
No.
one thing if you're playing super slow and you're you know just playing at that pace, but if there's a ruling and it sets you off, I don't think you should have to
Yeah.
get back on that time. I think it should just, you should be a little more lenient with the final group. I mean, these
Do you
guys
do,
are
do you know
playing for a
how
lot of
far
money.
behind they were? Do
Not
you know how
sure.
far
Not
behind?
sure how far
Yeah.
behind they were. I don't think they said
I was
how
like,
far behind they were.
if they were like 3 holes behind, I understand it. But if they were a hole behind, like you like 2 holes behind, okay, like they like tell them to speed up a little bit, but don't put them on. Like it's hard for me to put them on the clock unless they were like really, really like taking a minute to hit their shots, stuff like that. It's unless they're taking an obscene amount of time to hit their shots, I would have avoided putting them on a clock at all costs. But PGA Tour, who knows? Who knows what their policy is? I don't know what the deal is with that or why they would have if they do it in this situation, or why they chose to in this situation, or why they wouldn't do it.
And yeah, and hats off to Harris English. He did the post-match interview. He didn't have to do that. I mean,
yeah,
he obviously was frustrated, but
of course.
I mean, it is what it is. He's in a good position going into the FedEx Cup playoffs. Could have had another win, but you know what? Is what it is.
Yeah.
So
It is what it is.
good for Abraham.
He'll be back.
Abraham Ancer a win because of that. So
exactly,
first PGA Tour win.
It's
It's one thing if somebody
nice. He won.
It's one thing if somebody else won and like it was like 5th, 6th, 7th win, but Abraham Ancer gets his first win. So good for him.
Yeah, exactly.
And then one last thing, Nelly Korda won the Women's Olympics. Apparently she's pretty sick, so the USA sweeps the gold in the Olympics, which is pretty cool.
So. That's pretty cool. That's pretty fun. I watched a little bit of it one night. There was like some Indian girl, I forgot her name, but she was apparently like gained 13 shots putting or something like that. Her putting was just absurd, something crazy like that. But and that's pretty cool. I don't think she won bronze, but I think she got pretty close. But that's pretty impressive for India having a golfer like that compete in the Olympics like that.
Absolutely. So I mean, the women's golf is pretty fun to watch. I mean, again, it was at 3:00 in the morning again, so I couldn't quite watch a lot of it, but it is pretty interesting to watch. Mm-hmm. So with that, let's move into double bogey of the week. So double bogey of the week. I don't know if you saw this, but Siwoo Kim, he made a 13 on the 11th hole, which is the 155-yard par 3, kind of an island green. I mean, first tee shot kind of hit it right, found the water, moved up to the drop zone, which is about a 96-yard shot, I believe. Next shot, water. One after that, also in the water. And then, 5 balls in total ended up in the water. And then he finally is like, all right, I'm not going to like go at the flag. And he hits his 6th shot over the flag, chips it to a foot and taps in for a 13.
Hey, now, I mean,
a 13.
One putt.
He did one putt. 13 is the highest score recorded on a par 3 on the PGA Tour.
Ever
since 1983, when they began tracking those stats.
That's just
so I mean a 13
that's so
that's tough.
Funny.
That kind of
that's bad. It's so bad, but so funny. I think he shot like 43 on the back too. The 13, like I was PGA Tour posted a scorecard. I think he went like 13, then made like 3 birdies in the last 4 holes to shoot 43 after making a 13 on a par 3.
Yeah, I know he just kept hitting it into the bank, hitting it into the water. I mean, it sucks. Him and Kevin Na were on a flight to the next tournament this week at the Wyndham. And Kevin Na apparently has the record for the most amount of shots on a par 4. So Siwoo Kim was holding up a 3 and Kevin Na was holding up a 4. And they were saying like the 2 highest scores on like the PGA Tour or something. It was a funny post. So they kind of made light of it after, which is always fun. Kevin Na's
makes a 16. Kevin Na makes a 16 at the Valero Texas Open.
Yeah, the caption is PGA Tour's highest par 3 score ever, 13 today by Siwoo Kim, and the highest par 4 score ever by me, 16. We needed John Daly on this flight for the highest par 5 score. So they took a flight together.
What is the highest par?
I don't know. So John Daly made an 18 on the par 5 6th hole at Bay Hill in 1998.
Oh, that's the one that Bryson cut the corner on.
Yeah, exactly.
John
Daly made an 18. Yeah, I guess he kept trying to cut the corner. Didn't clear.
Oh my god.
5 attempts to clear. So so we have 13, 16, and 18, I believe, are the highest score. So if you want to go after that.
Good.
So with that, let's move on to the stat of the week. So stat of the week. I don't know if you saw this earlier in the week. I think it was round 2.
Yep.
Cameron Smith had 18 putts in round 2. 18 holes, 18 putts. I think
Couple
throughout
chip-ins.
a couple chip ins, of course, but 18
Yeah.
18 putts in a round is kind of insane. He ended up making 93 putts all week, which I think is the second all time for lowest. I think he was 1 off or 2 off from the lowest
Oh my God.
in 4 rounds. So that's kind of insane. That's getting hot with the putter and the wedges.
Yeah, it's like 18 putts and 18 holes is unbelievable. Like you would think it would happen every now and then just because of like, oh, if you miss every green and
Yeah, you
chip it
chip
up
the ball
close, like
on. Yeah.
you could do it, or you make a couple of bombs, something like that. Like, it could happen, but like I guess you never ever hear about it like that.
I
But
mean, yeah. So the
obviously putted great.
93 putts, just over 23 putts per round, which is pretty nuts.
But also, how about Cameron Smith on what was it? Was it 18?
18, I think. Trying to hit it
What
through the
was he?
trees.
What was he? Yeah, like he was in the trees. Like, was he trying to hit like through? All I saw was he like tried to hit like through the trees and it did go out of bounds. Is that what it was? Like they
Yeah, I think
like
he was
I didn't know
trying to
what
hit.
happened.
I don't know what he was going for, but I mean, that was a lot of money for like a meltdown. I think he was tied for the lead, 16 under, I believe. And
Mhm.
he was playing with Abraham Ancer, I believe, and he was going for the hero shot. It's like, I mean, like that's something that your average, like, me, 15 handicapper will do every once in a while. We're like, oh, I see the
Yeah.
gap, and you try to get through. And he thought he could thread the needle, and he kind of just hit it into the tree. I think it went out of bounds. He had to drop, chip out.
Oh
I think he
God.
made double. So
Oh, so
um,
if he sounds like if he chipped out and just made
and made
par,
par.
he
Yeah,
would have been in the playoff.
he just needed par, and he
Which
didn't
who
chip
knows
out.
who knows if he knew that? I don't know what Harris English was at the time, or I don't know how far ahead
And
were.
Harris English was probably
Sure.
2 holes behind, I believe, maybe 1.
Okay, so he's probably around 16 under par then. So you probably maybe Smith is thinking, maybe I need to make birdie to win this. Maybe he's thinking, or maybe he's thinking, or doesn't realize how far back or if he's tied, or how far back he is, or I don't know. The whole
I wonder what his
I
caddy
don't
said.
know.
I wonder what his caddy was
Yeah.
advising. I wonder if his caddy
Well,
was
they
like, "Yeah,
had
go
to.
for it," or if Cameron Smith was like, "I'm gonna go for it." You
They
know?
had they had to have seen, like, he wouldn't just hit it blindly at the over the tree or at the tree if it was didn't like he had to have seen something,
I mean,
or
there
like
was a
he or
little
his
gap
caddy
there.
had to, yeah, they had to have seen seen something and been like, yeah, probably was a hero shot kind of thing, where but like had to have seen something and said, okay, like I can, like, can you hit that shot? Like, yes, I can hit that shot, and gone for it. But
I mean, he just got it a little too high, I guess, into the tree. So I mean,
yeah,
it is. I think it's really fun when you see pro golfers do stuff like that. Just
yeah, and
I do stuff like
it's
that.
it's one of those things. It's one of those things, like in every sport. It's one of those risks where it's like if you pull it off, it's incredible and it's amazing. And if you don't, it's one of the stupidest things you could have possibly done in a moment like that.
It's
It's
like, yeah,
just like any sport,
even
it's gonna
me out
happen.
there, like I was playing today, and I think I was on 13, which is that one where there's the trees on the right, and I hit it into the trees on the
Yeah,
right,
I hate
and
that hole.
I was like, do I just chip out to the left, or do I go
Yeah.
forward and try to like get it? And I was like, you
No,
know what, I'm gonna go forward, and I get it through, and I don't
the
hit the trees. So
the amount of times I've been in that hole where I've just had, I see the hole, the pin right in, like, in a gap between like
yeah,
a gap like that big through the trees.
and you're like, I
I'm
gotta
like,
do
all
it.
right, should I punch it? And then and then it just does not work.
Yeah.
But yeah, Cameron Smith, I mean, hats off to you for trying to pull it off on the 72nd hole of a
I mean,
WGC
if he pulled
tied
it
for the
off
lead.
and he ended up making birdie and he won, or he made par and he won in the playoff, I mean,
Oh, that'd been
we would be
unbelievable.
talking about this
We talked about
totally
that
differently. Yeah,
shot of the year, maybe. Who
yeah,
knows? Who
exactly.
knows where it
So,
ended
I
up?
mean, I don't hate trying it, but I feel like your caddy's got to talk you out of that one. So,
Yeah,
but with
gotta be a little more
that,
smart there.
let's move into skins with the course preview. But first, a word from Roback.
You probably noticed us wearing some new Roback merch over the past few episodes, whether it was the hat both me and Jake are wearing right now. Trevor has one as well, a pullover or a collared shirt. We're partnering with Roback in 2021, and we couldn't be more excited. So head to the link in our bio, add the Roback merch you want, and you'll get 15% off just by using the link. So enjoy and crave activity.
Okay, skins. So we have the Wyndham Championship this week at Sedgefield Country Club. It's 71-31 yards, par 70. A lot of the tee shots at Sedgefield are going to leave some short wedges in. Putting's also really important this week. And there's only 2 par 5s, but both those par 5s are reachable, and scoring on those par 5s is pretty paramount. So the key stats this week: strokes gained approach as always, par 4s gained 400 to 450, strokes gained putting, and eagles gained. And just some of the previous winners: Jim Herman won last year. I think this was the tournament Pat watched when he got his tonsils out and watched like from start to finish. JT right. Poston was 22 under in 2019. Brant Snedeker, Henrik Stenson, Siwoo Kim, and Davis Love III. So a lot of different types of golfers there, I would say.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, and it's another Donald Ross design. So with that, let's get into the bets, the skins. Trevor won both skins last week. That was 2 skins. You had Neiman over Scott, which was honestly just such a great, like, I don't even know why that was out there. But
yeah, that I feel like that was, I mean, I didn't hear about either of them over the weekend, but
Neiman,
I feel like that was
by quite a bit.
Much, a very, very easy play from what I could tell.
Yeah, I mean, Louis had a little bit of a meltdown in the final round, so I think he was 4 or 5 over. DJ shot even, so I think DJ ended up beating him by like 2 strokes or something. So, and then Pat had Connors over Poulter, which didn't hit. Poulter had a good week. Yeah, so 16-13-2, 1 skin on the line. I'm gonna go with Pat's bets first. He sent them in. He's gonna go with Kevin Kisner the win. I think it's 50-1. Not a bad bet. Kevin Kisner the course isn't very long. Good wedge player, good putter. I like it. And then his best bet, he's gonna go with Jason Kokrak over Patrick Reed. Not sure what the odds are on that, but Jason Kokrak's had a really good year. Patrick Reed's also a good player. Bit like what I did last week. Pick the guy out of form versus the guy in form. We'll see how that one plays out. So let's get into our bets. My winner, I'm going to go with Charles Schwartzel. He's 55-1. This is kind of a gut pick. I mean, he's been in really good form. Last 3 starts, T2, T26, T19, 2 second place finishes this year, so he's close. Pretty solid ball striker, also 29th in eagles gained. I feel like he's just like one of those guys that's going to get a win, and a tournament like this definitely seems like a tournament that Charles Schwartzel might win. So
100%.
Like you can't pick him for too many tournaments, but this is one of them that I think he could win. And then my best bet, I'm going to go with Matthew Wolff, top 40. I think it's -135. He's coming off a T17. He's now made 3 straight cuts. He's 41st in stroke gain approach and 56 in strokes gain putting. Both of those are trending up from earlier in the season. Kind of rounding back into form. I mean, he had a rough go of it earlier in the year and the end of last year. And he's finally kind of bringing his game back, starting to play a little bit better, getting better off the tee, which is important for him. So look out for Matthew Wolff this week.
Yeah, I like Wolff this week too. Top 40 bets are back too, which I love as well.
Yes.
So my winner, I'll go with our guy Ches. Again, it feels like he's just someone who could turn it on one of these tournaments and win. He hits the ball really accurate in the fairway. Only hits it 280 yards off the tee, but 5th in driving accuracy.
I mean, he's 22nd last week.
Yeah, he's 22nd in strokes gain approach. His putting's not great, but I feel like if he gets the putter hot, like who knows what could happen with his ball striking. Like that could be a recipe for success this week. So I'll go with him at pretty far odds. I think someone down that range, or Charles Schwartzel will win. Like it's one of those weeks.
Who's in the
my
field?
best bet? The field is not great. Like it's like Webb,
Matsuyama, Ustez, and
Webb,
Salvatore.
Yeah,
drop off.
Louis in the field. Yeah. Best bet, I'll go with Kiz top 40 as well. -110, it's a little bit worse odds there, but I think he's great putter. Pat likes him, great putter. If he gets his irons going, I'm sure he'll be great. I know he played well at the Travelers, which is one of those shorter courses as well.
Yeah.
If he gets the putter going, he gets it hot, and he's from South Carolina. I don't know where this is tournament in South Carolina, or is it
I think it's in Greensboro, North Carolina.
So he's all right. So it's somewhat in the Carolinas. So he's got a little
close
bit
to home, right? Yeah.
Yeah, close to home. He's got the Bermuda grass advantage. Who knows? But so I like him a lot this week. I think he could even win this tournament. I think top 40 is a pretty good bet. I will say I didn't see Brian Harmon was playing. I really love Brian Harmon this week too. I think he'll play really, really well.
Yeah, it kind of fits the the type of players that could win this tournament. I will say it's a Donald Ross
this week.
Yeah, short guys. It's a Donald Ross design. Kevin Kisner played well at the Rocket Mortgage Detroit Country Club, also a Donald Ross. So T8, I believe, for Kevin Kisner. So I like the picks this week. I like them. And any other guys that kind of stick out this week to you?
Really like a Robert McIntyre. Who knows? Kevin Streelman. I could see Ricky Fowler.
I was going to say, I'm going to take a look at Ricky Fowler this week. I mean, he's been playing okay recently, and he needs it. I think he needs to get into that top 125 or so to make it into the FedEx Cup playoffs next week. So this is a big week for that. Those guys on the outside looking in, definitely a big week for them. I mean,
let's next week, right?
Those. They are.
Oh yeah.
So let's look at the standings right now. Let's see who's on the fringe. Let's see here.
Ricky Fowler is definitely on the fringe. He's definitely needs to make a push.
So the Northern Trust, so 125. So guys on the outside looking in right now, notable names. Start at 126. Scott Piercy, Nate Lashley, Michael Thompson,
Ricky.
Any Tommy Fleetwood's on the outside looking in. Dustin Rose. I mean, look at those guys this week. They
Olympic silver medalist Roy Sabatini.
Of course, yeah, Roy Sabatini. A lot of these guys lower down don't really have a chance. And then some of the guys that are like, the last 4 or 5 in. I mean, Adam Scott, Patrick Rogers, Matt Kuchar. They need to stay in that 125, and even Ches Reavie at 114. You have a bad week.
That's a little bit motivation.
Move out. There's a lot of guys on the fringe here. There's gonna be some movement out there. It's kind of like first 4 in, first 4 or last 4 out or whatever.
Last 4 out, yeah. No, there'll definitely be like those Friday and Sunday finishes. Like you'll be shown guys on your TV that you don't really see in that kind of situation, just because of how it affects the FedEx Cup playoffs next week.
Yeah, I love that. The number in the top right corner is gonna the green and the red this week. Watch out for those.
Yeah,
the red inside,
that's
outside the top 125. I mean, people are gonna be moving around pretty quickly. Okay, and then one last thing, first round leader. I put in Sebastian Munoz. He's 60-1. Feels like a first round leader guy. Plays pretty well in the first rounds, I believe. I just kind of like it. He also played well in the Olympics. So with that, let's get in the clubhouse. I mean, what do we want to do this week? Do we really have anything?
I don't have anything in mind. I know
got any birdies or bogeys this week?
Birdies. Club championship. I have club championship qualifying this weekend. That's I'm playing the father son with my dad on Thursday. Which will be fun too.
Are you guys defending champs?
No. This is for the CSGA.
Oh, I see.
So, this is the big boy. We're making the big leagues, so we're definitely not going to play well because we never play well in these kind of things. But it'll be fun, and then club championship qualifying. But other than that, looking forward to the Wyndham. Can't wait.
Yeah, we'll say this is my last week of freedom. I start working next week, so.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. We'll see how that goes with the podcast, but last week of freedom.
Okay.
But so yeah.
Enjoy it while you can.
Yeah. So we have the Wyndham Championship this weekend, and then we go into the FedEx Cup playoffs. So see you next week.
Ryder Cup after that.
Let's go.